On a rainy night in October 2012, in the small town of Rensford, Kentucky, 24-year-old Amanda Keller was found brutally murdered in her apartment. Her roommate returned home from a weekend trip to find Amanda lying face down in the hallway, blood soaked into the beige carpet. The walls showed signs of a struggle. Her fingernails were broken, and there were defensive wounds on her arms and hands. The police arrived within minutes of the 911 call. But what stood out most, what should have changed everything, was the writing on the floor. In smudged, shaky letters traced in blood, the name Tommy was scrawled beside Amanda's body. Amanda's case gained regional attention after it went cold within a year. The bizarre blood writing was dismissed by detectives early on as unreliable, possibly an unrelated person, or the product of confusion or misdirection. The town buzzed with theories. Was it a message? A clue? Or something more sinister? Local news media picked up the story, using sensational headlines like "Last Breath Confession" and "Bloody Clue Ignored," but public interest faded. That was until 2019, when a new cold case unit reopened Amanda's file. The original investigation was sloppy. Officers focused on Amanda's ex-boyfriend, Derek Shaw, who had a well-documented history of jealousy and aggression. He was questioned extensively but had a solid alibi. Security footage placed him in Nashville the night of the murder. Forensics had taken note of the Tommy name, but no one by that name was linked to Amanda. Without DNA, witnesses, or a confession, the case was declared unsolved. But when the cold case unit reopened it, they noticed something others missed. Amanda had filed a harassment report just 6 months before her death. The man's name? Tommy Braxton, a former co-worker from the diner where she worked. Amanda had told police that Tommy had become obsessed with her, leaving her notes, loitering near her home, and once following her home late at night. But without concrete evidence of a threat, he was never charged. The report was buried in paperwork and never linked to the murder investigation. The new detectives tracked Tommy down. He'd since moved out of state, living under a slightly altered version of his name. DNA from a coffee cup matched a partial print found under Amanda's fingernails. Tommy Braxton had developed a fixation on Amanda. According to co-workers and journal entries found in Amanda's apartment, she had tried to be kind to him, thinking he was just shy. But when she drew boundaries, his behavior turned dark. His obsession grew into rage. He'd been stalking her, building resentment when she ignored his messages and ultimately asked their manager to cut his hours. His fragile ego couldn't handle the rejection. On the night of October 12, 2012, he broke into her apartment through a kitchen window. Amanda fought back hard. The scene showed overturned furniture, bruises, and blood trails indicating she had crawled down the hallway after being stabbed. In those final moments, barely conscious, she managed to use her own blood to try to identify him. In 2020, Tommy Braxton was arrested and charged with Amanda Keller's murder. At his trial in 2022, prosecutors presented the blood-scrawled name, the DNA evidence, and Amanda's prior harassment report. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Tommy was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The lead detective on the cold case unit later said, "Amanda solved her own murder. We were just late to listen." Today, Amanda's story is taught in police training seminars across the country as a chilling example of ignored evidence, and the dangers of overlooking what a victim tries to tell us, even in her final breath. What would have happened if investigators had taken Amanda's message seriously from the start? Could her killer have been caught sooner? And were there other victims who suffered because of that delay? Put your answers in the comment below.